Hey, Capsule people. So I wanted to take a moment and show you guys some of the alternate play styles I sometimes engage in anticipation for the announced events in Tabbetzur. I fit a prospect with the best align time I could, a covert ops cloak, and to prepare the system and dock up before I logged off the previous day. The system was quite quiet, so it allowed making insta dock and insta warp bookmarks very, very easy. I set up some bookmarks, scanned up the sites in Probe Scanner, made sure to bookmark those and the saved on grid bookmarks for the wormholes. You don't have to have a covert ops cloak to do this stuff, but it sure does help. Now, I didn't intend to come here to fight, so I'm definitely not PvP fit. I don't know exactly what I intended to do besides spectate and just build upon from that. But the three most important mechanics displayed in this video will be warp mechanics, bookmarks, and the use of the D-scan with the solar system map. As the scheduled time for the event approaches, you can see people are undocked, engaging in their given freedoms in space, in Eve. I warped to this unidentified wormhole site in the overview, since I saw several ships in that direction on D-scan. Mind you, I am cloaked the entire time, whenever I can. As I land, you can see this fleet. They're not sure exactly what they're doing. It's unclear if there's wrecks there already or what's going on, but it sure does look pretty. And that's them warping away. There were some fleets roaming around. Now the thing is, when there's large-scale combat, like there seems to be in this system, judging by the ships around us, there tends to be large-scale destruction. And if you just happen to have some bookmarks set up, you don't even need a cloak. The cloak is nice so that you don't get combat scanned and you can take your time at these bookmarks. But sitting at these bookmarks, you can warp in and out and loot some wrecks. before you get caught if you're in a good enough bit. Now, I'm just sitting here warping back and forth between stuff. This is before the announced event starts. But I can already see some potential. There's no shame in looting wrecks even if they're yellow. Right? Anyway. Now this is curious because these NPCs were showing up around the system. And I don't recognize these models. I'm not sure what they are. They're like drifters or something. But, you know, I haven't always paid attention to the ship builds of NPCs everywhere I've gone. So, let me know if you know what these are.
Warp drive active.
At this point, there's another site system that spawned. The Warden Relay Chain Outpost, or something like that.
Warp drive active.
And the site you'll see is like some huge rock formation enveloping some type of gate. I did not see any NPCs around, but supposedly there was NPC combat here. I could not cloak, and luckily I didn't get destroyed. There was a lot of stuff here that I just, because of the lack of cloak, I decided against it. Here, you can see this rock just pops up out of nowhere. Supposedly there was NPC combat here. It's very hard to see how to navigate around this and get a clear position to set up a bookmark or something, or, you know, so I thought, look, people are shooting at each other, they might not notice the prospect in the corner. If they do, too bad. If not, well, I get some good footage. Maybe get the fuck out before it's too late. Still trying to get off from bumping on this rock, and I can't tell where it ends. And now it's in the way of the camera. Finally get a warp off. It still can't cloak, and I finally cloaked back up. Anyway, that was lucky. Back at the station, everyone's doing their own shenanigans. As you can tell by the scrolling notifications on screen. Right around here I start saying, you know what, there's going to be a lot of wrecks. So I start changing the focus of my presence here from spectating, which I'll still indulge you in a bit right now because it sure is pretty. Went from spectating to looting ops. You see, if you have bookmarks set up well in advance, or even you can make those on the fly as you come into system, you can just play warp games, warping back and forth and avoiding capture while you loot the field. Here, I pull up my local locations folder, I undock, and get ready to warp to my insta-warp. The moment the window comes up, using the radial menu, I warp immediately to the bookmark. Cloak, choose a wreck, and then warp to it because it's well beyond the minimum range you can warp to. And that's covered in warp mechanics. Now, because of warp mechanics, you warp to about 2,500 meters away from the entity you warp to, just within, but beyond 2,000 meters, it seems. It seems, okay, I haven't seen it all the time. So what you want to do is when you warp to an entity, you preemptively turn off your covert ops so that your ship doesn't want to approach the wreck in order to loot it, and instead just loots it. You press enter quickly and issue a warp back to your safe. And cloak up again. Now, of course, if you're not cloaked, don't worry. If you don't have a cloak, you do have to worry, but you can still do these things as long as you know which bookmarks you're using to warp to where. As I filled up, I keep warping to my insta-dock and unloading.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Autopilot disabled.
Now at this point I keep my overview on wrecks only, because I'm not worried about being caught. I'm choosing which wreck to loot now because they're beyond my warp to, and wrecks can be warped to. When I issue a loot command from my safe spot, my on-grid safe spot, it warps me and loots, allowing me to immediately warp back to my safe. The moment that I've looted, it's handy to have your enter key mapped out to something on your mouse if you have one of those fancy mice. Otherwise, playing with your mouse near your number pad, you can reach the enter key with your thumb. That's a trick that used to work for me. And you can see I just looted about 250 million worth of loot from that guy. Pretty good haul, and you can keep doing that. Something to note with wrecks is that if the wreck is called an elite shipwreck, and you'll see like elite cruiser or elite frigate, These are wrecks created from a T2 ship, and T2 salvage has a much higher value than T1 salvage that you get from regular NPC wrecks. And making this, it's possible. It is possible to salvage more value than you loot from a wreck. Not often, but it is possible, especially since loot is it's a 50-50 chance per stack, per item, or stack of items, whereas salvage, it's a success chance. And usually with better skills and better modules, you can achieve a higher level of success.
Warp drive active. Autopilot engaged.
In this case, I knew the event would take place. I expected there to be some people in system, but I didn't necessarily come prepared for this specific looting op. Now, what I have done in the past, and it makes for a very interesting evening, is with a cheap salvage frigate, the T1 exploration frigates also double as salvaging frigates.
Warp drive active.
I've used the universe map you can reach with F10, and using the color settings, the ones in geography specifically, and especially the ones for ships destroyed in the last hour. What I've done is I've searched for systems where combat has happened, check those systems on Zkill. Obviously avoid JVNA, because JVNA won't serve that well in these respects. But searching for these systems, you can plot a course, go out there, and come loot and salvage battlefields from a recent battle. I can remember this one case, a very eventful instance, where I came to a battlefield with wrecks all over the place, an entire field 300 kilometers wide and spread out. And there was a small gang of Noctis salvage industrial ship and a support fleet of Vexers to protect them, and they were just clearing up the field. I remember at some point I was chasing a wreck and salvaging it as it was being tractor beamed by the Noctis, and I did this a few times while being attacked by the drones of the Vexers, protecting them. Warping back to the safe spot to come snatch some more loot and salvage. And so this is like something that happened very early on in my EVE lifetime, but I still remember it so vividly because of it's these special moments that we remember, the interactions we have with people along the way. We chatted in local and created memories. So I find that engaging in alternate playstyles like ninja salvaging and looting, not only is it lucrative, it can be lucrative, but you also create some interesting memories for yourself. Or you can. A Capsuleer can dream. I ended this evening with about 500 million ISK in loot docked. I managed to get more than half of it out and back to my home station and it's all been traded so far, most of it. It was pretty good
Docking request accepted.
and eventful.
Autopilot
Anyways,
disabled.
hoping you guys enjoyed, and yeah, maybe giving you some perspective for an alternate game style. Take care in the meantime.